Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Captain's log.
Han Solo. I'm Captain Millennium Falcon.
This is Captain Jean-Luc Picard of the Federation starship Enterprise.
Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
You're listening to Captain's Logs and Lightsabers.
Hey, welcome to episode 45 of Captain's Logs and Lightsabers. We are the podcast with Feast of Fandoms that discusses both Star Trek and Star Wars in the same show. My name is Jonathan. I am one of the hosts. I'm always joined by my co-host, Chris Stow. So let's see what Chris has been up to lately. How's it going, man?
Oh, doing much better than I did in the last few months. That's which is kind of explains where we've been. It's basically been, I'll take the rap. My physical health has been kind of rough since November. So what happened is in November, I ended up getting sick. My blood pressure automatically somehow spiked to, 196 over 142. And it landed me in the hospital. And I started on a new blood pressure medication. And it just took some time, but starting to do a lot better. My blood pressure is back to normal. I just needed to slow things down a little bit. It's just things had gotten a little bad. So now I should be back to baseline, and I'm really been itching to do this. So I'm glad to be back.
Good. So you took some time for self-care. You got your health under control. Would you say it's been a long road getting from there to here?
Oh, yeah, definitely. But it wasn't a surprising road. So I found, because in the last couple of years, I've always known my mom's always had heart, blood pressure issues, things like that. And in the last few years, my twin brother has had problems. And then my younger brother started having problems. And then I guess it was just finally my time to fall into play with the blood pressure and heart stuff that's genetic on my mom's side of the family. But trying to get used to the new medication's been a little bit rough because the first medication they put me on was called Norvasc, I think it was. And it has a tendency to cause like pooling of fluids in your body, retaining fluids. Mm-hmm. So I was walking around. I was actually at Steel City Con when a lot of this first happened. And for those of you who don't know, Steel City Con is our local Comic-Con here in the Pittsburgh area. It's in Monroeville, PA. Every April, August, and December. So in December, I was walking around. I was like, this is great. Steel City Con's back, but I had to keep taking breaks. I'd be up for a little bit, and then I would want to sit for maybe 5 minutes, but I'd be sitting for 45 because I felt too heavy. So my doctor switched me to something called Bistolic, and it's not doing that anymore. But because it's lowering my blood pressure to normal, when it's been so extremely high, I'm having a hard time adjusting, and it's causing me to feel lightheaded and dizzy and fatigued at different times.
Yeah, your body's just so used to running itself with a high blood pressure. It's like, imagine it's kind of like a car getting a fresh oil change, It's
So the doctor's not concerned. He just says it's going to take some time. That's all. So,
good.
That's about it. Other than that, everything else has been pretty good. Work's going good. Clients have been keeping me busy. So, but how have you been doing?
It's been pretty good. I mean, I've had no health stuff, which thankfully, and I'm glad to hear that you are, getting back to normal, getting back to yourself, starting to feel more like yourself again. So yeah, we took the time off, but it was absolutely necessary for you to get better and be able to continue recording this and some of the other projects that you have. So
And I took a break from everything after I got those results and I was in the emergency room. I'm like, I have to stop everything but work. That's about it. I felt like I think at one point, and because I was even, I had family members asking me to help them do things around their places and stuff. And I think I just got so overwhelmed and bit off more than I could chew. And I think that's what contributed to a lot of it, so that downtime, I needed that. So glad that we're doing this again, and I'm glad that I'll be hopefully getting my YouTube channel started back up here again soon too. It's been about 3 months since I did a video there, so
yeah,
we'll see. But
I mean, yeah. So we're back. We're recording again. I've been, while we haven't recorded this, I've been creating other content for Feast of Fandoms. I still do the Star Trek episode of the week breakdowns every once in a while. It's been a few weeks since I've had one of those, but I started a new series where it's me on video. It's like one of the first things that I've done for Feast of Fandoms where I'm actually on video and not just a narrator or an audio only podcast in this respect, but I'm breaking down books that are considered romantasy. So it's like it's fantasy books, but there's romance element between the characters. So I don't really I enjoy reading, so I'm willing to give different genres a chance. And I've always been curious by books. Like I'll go shop at Target or Walmart and I'll look at the book section, and then I'll see these. I've often seen what kind of started this. I saw a series called A Court of Thorns and Roses, and the cover being like this bright red and this yellow lettering. It just always kind of stuck out to me. I'm like, okay, let me find out more about this series. It was enough for me to give the first book a chance, and I decided, well, hey, I know I'm not the target audience for this type of book, so let me read it, let me see what I think, and I'm gonna turn it into a show idea for Feast of Fandoms, because we're starting to branch out and get outside of just the big pop culture properties of Star Wars and Star Trek and video games. We're trying to branch out and do more. We call ourselves Feast of Fandoms for a reason. It's not just TV, movies, books, and games.
Exactly.
TVs, movies, and games. It's books, it's board games. It's there's so much more that we can do. So. Yeah, so I launched this little series. It's called Courts and Confusion. It's fun. The first episode was released back at the end of January, and the second one, as long as I can get the book finished and get my notes together in time, the second one should come out the end of February. So, yeah, so I've been keeping myself busy with that and just trying to keep, being creative while we took a little break on this show.
Yes, I think that's wonderful. You kept things going, and you had fun doing it. I did watch your first episode; it was really, really good, and your reviews of the Star Trek episodes are phenomenal. So please keep up on doing the good work on those. Definitely.
Yeah, and it's fun to take some episodes that don't really get a whole lot of attention. I mean, I do the classics. I do for every Dharmic though that there's a night in sick bay, right? There's all kinds of different Trek episodes that deserve a closer look and being revisited from time to time. So
absolutely, and with over 800, 900 episodes of Star Trek, you got a lot to pull from. So there will be no shortage of content for you.
No content. There is content abounds. It's just can I keep up the momentum and keep up the writing, the breakdowns in a way that's still compelling. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Good.
So while the show's been on hiatus, we've had quite a few new things announced. We got a trailer for the upcoming animated series that premieres April 6th on Disney Plus called Maul Shadow Lord. And Chris and I just recently rewatched the trailer, so thought we'd talk about it and give our thoughts and see, we've been fans of the animated Star Wars projects, and this one is shaping up to be another stellar entry in Star Wars animation. So what do you think overall? What did you think of the trailer for Maul Shadow Lord? What are your initial impressions, Chris?
Oh, definitely. It definitely was. It looks like it's being well produced. You were talking offline about the animation style and how it's still going with Clone Wars, but it seems to be adding even more depth to it. I mean, the animation was just incredible. Just all the lightsaber work and the I don't know if they're on. I think they're on some sort of new planet. All those city kind of planets look like Coruscant to me, and I always get them confused. But the background looked great. And I'm hoping to learn a little bit more about see what Darth Maul's been up to since he escaped that Venator Star Destroyer in the last episode of Clone Wars. We already know where his fate leads. We know that he's going to be part of Crimson Dawn in Solo, and we know that he dies in Star Wars Rebels. So it's just going to be interesting to see filling in that last big gap. And I'm hoping that there will be some sort of matches that he has with Palpatine, because there was one mention of that. I guess he was fighting an Inquisitor in one part, and he said something about the Emperor wanting you dead. So I'm sure there'll be some sort of clash or something there. But of course, we know that he survives whatever happens because we see him later on in the timeline. Obviously, yeah. But still, I'd love to see the two together at least one more time, battling it out. We did get a scene, I think, in the Clone Wars. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. No, yeah, I agree with you. It would be great to see another, second duel between Maul and Palpatine.
Right, because there was an episode of the Clone Wars, if I remember correctly, where Palpatine was torturing him or trying to kill him, but he managed to get away.
Yes, I believe that was in season 5 of the Clone Wars, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah, because season 6 were kind of those were the quote unquote lost episodes. It wasn't a complete season, and then some of the episodes weren't even fully animated. There, some of them that are part of season 6 are just basically animated concept drawings.
That's fascinating. I didn't know that part. I knew they were the lost episodes. I just thought it was a season they didn't air. That's pretty interesting. Okay. But yeah, I think learning a little bit more about what Darth Maul's been up to, how he ends up getting involved with Crimson Dawn, that'll be a nice tie-in. I'm looking forward to seeing, because this is within a year of the founding of the Empire. The Bad Batch obviously is going on at this point. First of all, I'm wondering if there'll be any crossover connection somehow. But I'm looking forward to seeing how I'm wondering if they're going to do any more work with the clones. That's one thing I really loved from the Bad Batch, is watching the clones get phased out. And for this first generation, I call them proto stormtroopers. That's just because they don't look exactly like we know them yet. So I'm looking forward to seeing, if there's maybe some interaction with the clones versus the stormtroopers. They didn't really do a whole lot of that in the Bad Batch. And it'd be interesting to see if something actually happened, And we also noticed that sometimes you can see some of the clones were even starting to question why they followed Order 66.
Right.
See if there's anything more with that. They never showed a final resolution on whatever truly happened to the clones. I'd hate to think that they're just going to let it go and say, oh, they just happen to just randomly scatter throughout the galaxy. And, I hope there's something, concrete that finally happened to the clones. And of course, I'm sure if there is something, it was bad.
Yeah, I wonder how the timelines are going to match up, because Shadow Lord takes place a year after the Revenge of the Sith, so the Empire's in it. They already completed its first year. Bad Batch pretty much begins right at the time of Order 66, because the very first episode we see Kanan's master, being killed.
Yes.
So. And I know they had, so that show kicks off right at the start of Order 66. Yeah, and I don't know if there is going to be any crossover. I wonder if, how it's a large galaxy, right? And the Bad Batch was kind of in the mid to outer rim, right, for most of their adventures. I am not sure where this city is, because we know it's not Coruscant, and Screen Rant tells me that the planet's name is Janix, which is brand new. It's not a planet that's ever existed even in Legends. But yeah, it is not Coruscant. The city was built inside a giant crater.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, one of the reviews mentioned that it's in a big crater. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder how much of this is going to focus on the what's going on directly with the Empire, because are we going to so the episode starts a year after the formation of the Empire, but where does it end? How much of a time period are we dealing with in this series?
Yes.
Are we going to see Maul become the leader of Crimson Dawn, which essentially means that he's going to have to take out some other criminal organizations, like he's going to have to take out the Hutts, or get them under control. He's going to have to address things with the Pikes, and then with Black Sun, of course, the Faline, to kind of be the main criminal organization that that runs everything by the time we get to the events of Solo.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I can imagine that by the end of the series, however long they're planning on it being, they'll definitely have a smooth tie into the whole part of Solo, which will be nice, because we haven't heard much about. No one really talks about Solo anymore. It's been a number of years. I don't see it mentioned in a lot of places anymore. So it'd be nice to have a callback or connection to that movie and be like, hey, it's still here. It hasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder if we're going to get any kind of like an animated version of Kira from Solo at all,
That's actually a really great observation. Yeah, that would be. I can see that happening, definitely.
I guess it really depends on, again, what the time frame of the series is, because we see the Twi'lek, the red skinned Twi'lek with Jedi, assuming was a Jedi Padawan that somehow escaped Order 66 in the trailer.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time that, and I don't know if there's any connection, because I don't think the character, I don't know, does the character have a name or not? But the last, there's a very prolific red-skinned Twi'lek who has some Sith skills. She went by Darth Talon. So I wonder if this is supposed to be Darth Talon, or if they just happen to be a coincidence that there's a red-skinned Twi'lek Jedi, or character with Force abilities, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, wouldn't be surprising if maybe that was her. That they brought her in, and we finally get to see her on screen. That would be really amazing.
Yeah, but
you're not sure if it would fit.
Yeah, I don't know how that timeline's going to work. The other Darth Talon, that was when was I'm trying to think which series Darth Talon was introduced in. Actually,
she was in one of the other series.
She was in, not in a canon series, she was in a book series. Okay, so Darth Talon was introduced post Fall of the Empire, post Return of the Jedi. So, okay. So this character exists prior, we're meeting this character prior to when, if they're the same character, when Darth Talon first emerges.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm not sure, if this Twi'lek Jedi, former Padawan, whatever she is going to be Darth Talon, and how they're going to, if that is the intent, how they're going to introduce this character, because from when Darth Talon first appeared in Legends, it's several years earlier. It's during the start of the Empire, not after the fall of the Empire.
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I didn't, because obviously you're the expert on Star Wars. I don't know anything about the novels or the comics or anything, so you'll at least get to see. You'll notice the little changes, or whatever anything that they change or make similar, you'll be able to pick up.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I don't really remember reading books that included Darth Talon, so I may not have read that series of books.
Well, Wikipedia is your friend.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep, I guess we'll find out.
Yep, absolutely. Now, you were saying about time after the Empire. I think that's a good time to segue to the next project that's going to be coming out for Star Wars this year, which would be the Mandalorian and Grogu movie.
Yeah, we're going to get that towards the end of May, the last third of May. So I know we'll get Maul Shadow Lord for April, and that'll take us all the way to May the 4th. And then we'll have about a 3-week gap or 2.5-week gap, and we'll be seeing the Mandalorian and Grogu in theaters.
Yes, cannot wait. Finally, we're going to have Star Wars back in the theater. It's been fun seeing it on Disney Plus, but to actually get back on a big screen to see it again, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited for the movie. Hesitant, though. Like, I don't know if I want the movie to feel like it's just an episode of The Mandalorian, but on a big screen. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know enough about the story, and I know that's intentional. I know, we have not had a story trailer. We've had, we had a teaser trailer, and then we had the parody ad during the Super Bowl, right? That really wasn't a trailer. It didn't show us anything as far as footage from the movie itself. I know it's got the fandom very, very mixed on what they thought of that little TV spot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was only, how long was it? Like a minute and a half, something like that. So there wasn't really much story that was really seen.
Wait, the ad was only like 37 seconds.
Oh, really? Okay, I must have watched. There was another trailer that I watched then that was on YouTube.
Oh yeah. No, what aired during the Super Bowl was a 37-second parody commercial of the Budweiser Clydesdale horses.
Is that the one with the Tauntauns?
Yes.
Okay, I saw a piece of it. I didn't see the whole thing. So when it aired, I was out at dinner with my wife, and we were in a bar restaurant. And so I was trying to watch it, but I couldn't hear anything and stuff, so I probably missed most of it. Right.
Yeah. So what you saw, you only saw a little bit of it. So the commercial, it's meant to be a parody of the Budweiser Clydesdale commercials, right? And they even got Sam Elliott to narrate the commercial, just like Sam Elliott narrated the original Budweiser Clydesdale commercial.
Oh, nice!
So
that's great.
Yeah. So like it again, this let's not call it a trailer, because it wasn't a trailer. It was a parody ad. It has the fandom very divided about what they thought of it, because it doesn't give us any footage of the movie. The movie comes out in just over 3 months from now, and we haven't seen any kind of story trailer yet. We had the teaser trailer, we had this parody ad. Yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I knew what it was. I knew it wasn't, as soon as it started, I knew it was, a mock-up of the Budweiser Clydesdale horses. And I was like, okay, this is pretty brilliant. Am I a little disappointed that we didn't get new footage or get anything of substance about the movie? Yeah, but you know what? I enjoyed it for what it was. I enjoyed it for just being a silly parody.
Yeah.
And obviously it was just to generate buzz for the movie, to get people interested.
Oh, yeah. And it was done in a fun way. It's the Super Bowl. You have a special commercial for it. Now, it'll end up being a specialized footnote in Star Wars history. Even if people whether they liked it or not, it'll always be something unique for the movie. And
you know what? The way that the news cycle moves, with in general, let alone with pop culture stuff, it'll probably be forgotten by the time we get a full trailer,
Absolutely.
Which I think we'll probably get a full on trailer sometime around the beginning of March, if I had to guess.
That sounds, and we'll finally get a little bit of what the story's about, because watching the trailer again, it really didn't make any sense. It was just random scenes of different action situations that are going to be going on.
Yeah.
Was that Babu Frick at the end with Grogu, or was that just another character of that race?
I think it's just another character of the Anselm race. Yeah, I don't think it's actually Babu Frick, but who knows? We could be. I could be wrong. I mean, Babu Frick should be alive. I mean, because everything in Mando and Grogu, Mandalorian, the series, and the Mando and Grogu takes place prior to the sequel trilogy, so it very well could be Babu Frick.
Yeah. Well, at least we know the Empire is still involved somehow. I mean, we know that obviously it's the Imperial remnant. Because this is 5-6 years after Return of the Jedi. So at least we'll get at least some sort of, story with them involved, which would be a lot of fun. Now, I wanted to also point out, I do believe this is true. On Friday, Screen Rant posted on, I believe it was Facebook, a whole bunch of pictures about the toy line that's actually coming out for the Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yes.
So I saved all the pictures. We have the action figures. We're going to have Zeb Aurelios. And that figure looks really badass. He's nice and big, strong. Got Grogu. Let's see here. The Mandalorian himself. They have an ATRT with an Imperial driver. Let's see here. What is it? Guard droid and mercenary. What does that say? STAP? STAP. Not sure what that. It looks like a speed, like a kind of a speeder kind of thing.
Yeah, it's almost like a little hovercraft type thing.
That's a good way of describing it, yeah. And then I want to say that those were used.
I want to say that those were used even in the Clone Wars. I want to say that similar transport devices were used by the Trade Federation droids.
Yeah, you know what? You're right, because they actually had something similar to that in Episode 1.
Yes.
And the droid was firing at Jar Jar. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes, it was on that type of device. Yep.
Yes. All right. And then I think you just answered the question about the Anzellans, because there's a toy with a ship that says Grogu and Anzellans. So I guess that is not Babu Frick. Okay.
All right.
And let's see.
Well, there we go.
Let me see here. Then there's another one of like that speeder we were just talking. Oh, that's just a different picture of it. That's all. So as of now, that's everything that's going to be released. I don't know if they're going to do anything else or not, but I was hoping there'd be a toy line, because it's always fun when one of these movies comes out to look forward to the toys. I'm just praying they're not going to be peg warmers and in the clearance bin by fall.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it'll be nice if we got some good promotional toys and stuff available around the same time as the movie.
Yes,
that would be nice. I mean, I know they can't. I know that there are some things that that are in the movie that they'll want to do toys for that just would give away too much of the story or give away the introduction of a character. So obviously we're not going to get we're going to get at least a second or third wave of toys.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that was always the fun, at least for me growing up, when there would be a toy line coming out for a movie that we really, really couldn't wait for, Yeah. It's just nowadays, this generation doesn't really want toys. They're more into like the electronics and stuff, so it's more of us middle-agers now that just want to collect everything, so, but I'm glad it's good. They'll have something. It'll be fun to go and buy some of the stuff and do whatever with it, whether we display it or we put it in totes and store it in the basement, one or the other. It'll be good to have them. So, all right. Anything else that you want to say about the movie coming out?
No. Let's get to May, and then we'll talk about it. After we both have a chance to see it, and hopefully we'll get a trailer. I'm sure we'll get a trailer of some kind in between then, and hopefully we can come together to talk about it at least one more time before the movie comes out. So.
Absolutely. Cool. All right. So why don't we say we get into the new Star Trek series?
Don't get technical with me.
Logic. It is the beginning of wisdom, Valeris, not the end.
The Jedi uses the Force for knowledge and defense.
Yeah, it has been quite a while since we've recorded, so there have already been 6 episodes of Star Trek Starfleet Academy that have aired on Paramount Plus, and we're going to talk about them for the last part of the show. And yeah, I know, Chris, you have, as always, you have taken some lovely notes, and you're going to, guide us through the episodes as you always do. So take it away.
All right. So we'll start with the pilot. So I really enjoyed watching how Starfleet Academy came back together. The fact that one thing I'm really enjoying about this show so far, I didn't think I'd like it so much in the 32nd century because I'm not a big fan of Discovery in that era. But Alex Kurtzman said that he put it in the 32nd century because it's basically a clean area to start fresh and talk about contemporary issues from today in that setting, especially since this is a group of people who had been traumatized for a couple of generations because of what happened with the burn. So it gives a nice setup for this first group of kids trying to learn what it means to be Starfleet officers again, or, for the first time. So go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just agreeing with you. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's okay. I thought you were going to say something. All right. So the first episode was one of my favorites. Again, I loved seeing Robert Picardo coming back as the Doctor. I mean, that was kind of like, for him, it was like riding a bike again. You could tell it was very easy for him to fit in that role again.
Oh, he has so much fun as the Doctor. Like he's one actor who doesn't care that was his defining role.
Yeah. Yeah. Now he can have a little bit of fun with it. And because he's hundreds of years older, he can actually, and he even said that one of the episodes, I think it was the one with the debate, where he was like, I'm 800 years old. I can say what I want. I'm not chicken shit now, or something to that effect. I think that's what he said. So the whole Caleb story arc, I don't even know if that was really necessary to start it out so dark. I think they could have just had him being like some kid on Earth who was just, trying to find his way in life, and then they could have brought him into the academy. And the reason why I'm saying that is because they started it out strong with him being the child of a criminal. His mom was partly involved in the death of a Starfleet officer, whether she did it or it was just that she was there. So he got separated from his mom when she was sent away to some rehab prison or whatever. And he escaped from, what's the captain's, Nala Ake?
Yes.
That's her name? Yeah. So he escaped from her and was able to stay on the run for 15 years and, basically became a career criminal in order to stay alive. And he had a chance to go to Starfleet Academy because she was asked to become chancellor of the brand new Starfleet Academy. She's really one of the only few who actually really could truly do it because, well, think about it. She's what, half Lanthanite. So she's in her 400 some years old. So she knows what Starfleet was like before all of this stuff happened. So it was important for her to be one of the ones who helped to rebuild and bring a new class of cadets in, but the whole thing, Caleb's story, just after he came to the academy, she recruited him so they could help find his mother. And I told you this offline that I thought that him going from Mr. Badass who wasn't going to listen to anybody to, a Jem'Hadar lady screamed at me one time and put a heavy backpack on me. Now I'm completely, rehabilitated. I've worked with juveniles and a lot of kids with a lot of behavioral issues and conduct issues for 2 decades now. I'm telling you, that would not happen no matter what. I know for time and story, they probably needed to get it moving. But I mean, he went instant from being mouthy and disrespectful and apathetic to, now all of a sudden I'm listening. So it was just weird, and I thought that it was going to be a story that was really going to be going on all season. Now It's supposed to be, there's still little pieces of it brought up, but after episode 2, he just kind of seemed to be really reformed. He just seems to be by the book and, he knows his stuff and he's great at fixing things. And, so I'm hoping that we get a little more resolution of that by the end of the season. Right. Now that they brought Paul Giamatti back in episode 6, since he'd been gone since the pilot, I'm hoping we'll see a little bit more of that. As of now, it's just not paying off, in my opinion. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that. I mean, I get why they he was gone for so long because you had to have. You kind of had 3 episodes to introduce us a little bit more to our cadets and get a little bit more of their personalities before the primary mission that they're on will come to fruition. I get why he wasn't on screen for 4 episodes essentially.
Yeah.
But at the same time, why, if you are telling a consistent, almost a serialized story, why can't you have a couple, like a little teaser or a little, just like a little glimpse of what he's doing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That would have been kind of cool, to pepper in little, like, just little segments with him, what he's up to, what his plans are. Mm-hmm. Because, I think I really like Paul Giamatti, and just the way that he is able to portray a villain that is he's so skeevy, right? He's so disgusting, but yet you can't, you feel compelled to just listen to him because just his delivery, his demeanor is just so, it's so perfect to be this conniving villain that he is.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you can tell he's relishing delivering the lines. He's enjoying every second of it. He's almost slobbering with how much he enjoys it. One thing I wish that they wouldn't do in the show, and they've done it a lot with what is, I guess, called new Trek nowadays, is the modern vernacular. It's cringy to think that in the 32nd century they're still talking like 21st century humans. I know they're doing it to kind of keep the audience fresh and to kind of relate and things like that, but we also got to remember here, he's half Tellarite, half Klingon, and he's using 21st century human slang. It just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It's just weird. It's very weird. It's bad enough hearing the character saying that kind of stuff. But an alien, saying stuff 1,000 years out of date, that makes no sense. But I'm hoping to see a little bit more of him. And now in episode 6, Paul Giamatti's character was a lot more grounded. He was goofy at first, but he seemed a lot more serious as the episode went on. I can't remember exactly everything that happened in the last episode, but I know that was really probably the most serious episode of the season so far. When they went aboard that ship, and that felt like Star Trek. It reminded me of this. There was a second season episode near the end of Next Generation called Peak Performance, where Riker took a number of the Enterprise. They did war games. That's what it reminded me of, but just with an interesting new threat. Now, I didn't know this, but what they call them in the episode, the Furies, I think they said that was the name of these aliens.
Yes,
there was a book series in the 1990s. At the time, there were only 4 Star Trek series, and each Star Trek series had this book talking about this race, and I believe it was called they were called the Furies. I don't know if this is supposed to be that race or if this is something similar. I don't know.
Right.
But they are pretty freaky. They had that like time dilation effect and stuff. So I think I want to learn more about this group of people. They're just interesting in a way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we've never seen this alien species before, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
so what are they capable
to
of?
the series? Right,
yeah,
right.
Exactly. Now, I also want to know what's going on with the Venari Rawl. They didn't really say much about this crime group. Just that they were the baddies in the first episode, and you don't want to get me started on them destroying that ship. the Athena destroying the Venari Rawl ship. And then thinking it was a teachable moment. They get them beamed back to the ship. Okay, destroy it now. That's not that would not have happened in past Star Trek.
Right.
They would have, if anything, they would have captured the crew and imprisoned them, or they would have towed the ship somewhere. Not just randomly kill life and then brag about it as a learning experience for the class. I don't know. It was just weird. But the first episode I think was a lot of fun. And wasn't it fun to go back to Bajor and see that after all these years?
Yeah. I mean, I do really like I like moments in the show. I don't know if I'm totally sold on the show as a whole yet, but most of everything in the Cisco episode 5 was really good. I mean, I totally geeked out whenever, and I'm blanking on the I'm blanking on the Trill's name, but whenever she pulled her hair back to reveal the spotting.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Illa. I think that's what her name was.
Yes.
Illa Dax.
Yeah, Illa Dax.
Yeah.
Right. But as soon as the hair came back and I saw the Trill markings, I was like, there's the Dax symbiote.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what's really interesting, because I wonder how much, I don't know if they'll ever bring this up or not, but how much Trill DNA does there need to be from the host to actually carry a symbiote without any issues?
I mean, I didn't. They kind of established that in Discovery, didn't they? That
you know what? I'm not sure, because I haven't watched all Discovery, so I don't know. I might have missed it.
Oh, right. Yeah, you probably did. Yeah, so they're the Trill are in this, in I want to say season 4, maybe. Yeah, I want to say it was season 4 of Discovery.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very significant plot line involving Trill. So,
okay.
Yes. So I can't remember all the details, but essentially, yes. What happened? With everything with Illa, it should match up to what the rules they've established for the Trill in Discovery in this time frame are.
Okay, I'll look that up then and just kind of tie it all together. Because I was kind of like, how is a Cardassian with just some Trill DNA able to carry this symbiote? But okay, so there's an explanation. It's good to know. Good to know. But yeah, that Deep Space Nine episode was very. I consider it a 50-50 episode. I love the stuff with Sisko. Seeing Sirach Lawson again as Jake Sisko was so great. Really great actor. He can tell he loved his role even back then, and that he really appreciates it now. Also, Sirach Lawson is a really great guy. Actually, as we're recording right now, I'm looking at the wall across from me, and I have all my photo ops with multiple Star Trek actors, and I'm looking at the one right now with him.
Nice.
Looking and noticing how he's a foot taller than I am too. he was a blast and really warm when I met him. So
nice.
Very nice guy. It was nice to see him back. The rest of the episode, though, and this is ironic because Sam is actually my favorite of the characters, the cadets right now, because she's just kind of learning her way through life and seems to be enjoying it. She reminds me of the aliens from Third Rock from the Sun, where, they came, did you ever watch that back in the day?
I did not, actually. I'm familiar with the show, but it was not a show that I watched.
Right. Well, real quick, the premise of Third Rock from the Sun was these 4 aliens come down to Earth, and they are living as a family, and they're trying to learn about what it's like to be human. And they have to experience things through stuff. Like in some of the earliest episodes, one of them was drinking gas, trying to see what kind of effect it would have on the human body and stuff like that. He went paralyzed and told everybody they should call 116 instead of 911.